Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jack Canfield, and with me today is Tashai Lovington, who's an author, a course creator, a visual artist, a filmmaker, and a light language intuitive. Now, Tashai was drawn to the study of metaphysics and universal principles at a very young age, and it's become her life's calling. Now she's written a new book entitled Fill the Gap, From Where You Are Now to the Life You Want. Welcome to the show, Tashai.
Thank you.
I just realized that's almost a tongue twister. To the show, Tashai.
Right?
Anyway, I'm really glad to have you here. Now, in your new book, Fill the Gap, you talk about universal principles and how they affect our lives. So let's start by talking about what you mean by universal principles and how exactly do you see them affecting our lives?
Okay. A universal principle, as the name suggests, is something that applies to everyone and everything, whether we're aware of it or not. As we know from quantum physics, on a molecular level, everything is moving, interacting, everything's energy. We live in a physical world that is very much based on vibration, but at the same time, a greater part of ourselves resides right now in non-physical. So the underlying reality is we are vibrational beings and we live in a vibrational world. So these principles are ideas we've all heard before. Like attracts like, what you focus on expands, thoughts become things. But no matter how you say it, there really is just one universal law, the law of attraction. We attract to us what we predominantly focus on. The more we resonate with abundance and happiness, the more we attract circumstances that reflect these things back to us. I think what trips people up about this concept and for them believing that it really works is a misunderstanding about how to focus. You want to make sure you're focusing on what you want rather than the lack of it. For example, say you're looking for a new house, but it's out of your price range. And you hear other people talking about their beautiful homes and you feel frustrated or jealous. What are you really focusing on? You're focusing on the lack of it. So if you hear people talking about their beautiful homes, what do? You want to celebrate them, feel happy for them. Say to yourself, if they can manifest their dream home, I can too. There's so much abundance in this world that if I focus on having my dream home, the universe will find a way to bring it to me. Sometimes it's a subtle shift in the way you look at things, but it makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm. You use the word resonate when you answered the question. And I want you to talk about that a little bit because it's not just the content of the thought, like the image of the house, but It has a lot to do with the feeling. Yep. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that goes along with mantras and things that we repeat in our mind as well. So sometimes if you're trying to reach for a mantra like I own my dream home, but you don't believe it inside, you're not resonating with it, it's not going to be true for you because your internal dialogue is, well, I don't have it. I can't have it. Things like that. You have to make sure that you aren't contradicting your vibration. So you want to get your vibration up to the level of what you want. And the way to do that is through feelings.
Yeah, exactly. To feel the feelings you'd be feeling if you had it. And I think a lot of people don't get that message. They think it's just a thought without the feeling, and the thoughts create the feelings, really.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I'm curious what inspired you now to write a book about all this?
Well, when I was younger, I struggled a lot. Some aspects of my life were wonderful. I had met the love of my life. I enjoyed my time with my pets, my friends, and on vacation. But my job sucked. And I was just living from meager paycheck to meager paycheck. I spent the majority of my day denying who I really was. So I knew some metaphysical truths, but my life just wasn't what I knew in my heart it could be. I say I was living a half life. What I mean by that is some parts of my life were wonderful and other parts were uninspiring and stressful. Certain things were easy for me to manifest, but other things that I wanted to do seemed unattainable for me. The big breakthrough was when I started to take incremental steps towards some of my goals, like in my aspects of finances and job. I realized that I couldn't go from feeling hopeless all the way to joy in one step, kind of like what we were just speaking about. I had to take smaller incremental steps to get there because I couldn't make that leap. But what I could do is feel better about my life a little bit at a time, looking for good things that I saw in the present. And little by little, my vibration rose. And then I was able to resonate with what I wanted. And it worked for me. And I'd like to share the techniques I learned with others who may be struggling or feeling stuck in areas of their lives.
Yeah, which is most people on the planet, unfortunately. Now, you mentioned in your book how important inner guidance is. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. We all have access to inner guidance. It comes from the non-physical part of ourselves. And it helps us not only with the big decisions of our lives, but even the tiniest of day-to-day choices. It comes to us in the form of gut feelings, intuitions, and other signs. I actually have a chapter in my book called Popping the Bubble. The bubble is what I refer to as the misinformation surrounding us that we've learned through our lives, that disempower us, that confuse us, or make it difficult to know which direction to go in our lives. When in fact, we all have inner guidance available to us that knows what we want and knows how best to get us there. And anyone can learn to get in touch with it. In fact, I feel it's such an important topic that I've created a mini course just on how to connect with your inner guidance. So the more we listen and look for guidance, the more it shows up in our lives.
That's very cool. Let's talk about that for just a minute, because people talk about inner guidance. People talk about joy as your feedback system. People talk about signs in the universe. You're hearing a song or you can't get it out of your head. Go a little deeper into that since we have a few more minutes.
The way I connect with my inner guidance is I meditate every day. Mm-hmm. It's very important to get the mind kind of out of the way in at least a little bit of your day, because that allows you to be quiet. And a lot of times you'll find that when you get that chatter out of the way, the inner voice comes to the surface and you can hear it better. Then once you practice in doing that, you can connect with it out throughout your day, even with things like, should I take this exit, off of the highway? Things will come to you, intuition, signs. Like you said, maybe a song will come on the radio that corresponds to something you were thinking about, or somebody will call and you had just thought about them. Those are all inner guidance, intuition, things telling you about where to go. Yeah.
When you meditate, what form of meditation do you do? How do you do it?
I do just a quiet meditation. I usually use a sound machine or a fan, something like that, a nondescript noise that just kind of is boring. So it's not something I'm thinking, oh, I'm sitting on the beach with waves. Oh, look at that. There's an umbrella. I have a nice pina colada, things like that. You don't want to necessarily be speaking in your head as you're doing it. So I just do a nondescript noise. So it'll just get boring and my brain will just kind of shut off. But there are other ways to do it too.
Yeah. I focus on my breathing. I just like the in and out of my breath, and it takes me out of the thought forms. Very good. So I love what you're doing. So many people need to know this work. Where can people find out more about your work? You got this mini course, your online courses, your book. Where do they go?
My website, tashiarts.com.
tashiarts.com. Very good. We'll put that up on the screen. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Tashai. I wish you the best of luck with the book. And I think that a lot of people need to take advantage of this. And I'm thrilled that you're doing the work because it's so needed. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thanks to all of you for joining us today as well. Make sure to tune in again next week when I'll have another guest whose insights, experiences, and wisdom can help you live a happier, more successful, and more fulfilling life. See you then.